yarrow, elderberry, mullein, golden seal, echinacea, wild bergamot. These are not supplements from a health food store. They are plants that Cherokee families across the southern Appalachians kept close for generations, documented in over 600 remedy records by ethnobotanist James Mooney, and confirmed useful for the conditions you are treating today. Everything the modern wellness industry sells back to you at $40 a bottle once grew free in a ditch behind someone's house. The question is not whether these plants work. The question is why you stopped hearing about them. These 11 plants are not rare. They are not locked inside a specialty nursery or only available through some expensive practitioner's recommendation. Several of them are probably growing within a few blocks of where you are right now. Vacant lots, gravel shoulders, creek banks, fence rows, backyards that have been left alone long enough to remember something. That is the part that makes this strange. The knowledge around them is what disappeared, not the plants. In 1932, ethnobotanist Franz Olbrechts published one of the most significant collections of Cherokee healing plant knowledge ever assembled. Drawing on decades of James Mooney's earlier field documentation, Olbrechts cataloged specific plant preparations for fever, wound care, respiratory complaints, and digestive support. Meticulous records. Real plants. Real applications you could trace to organisms growing in American soil right now. That document exists. It is archived at the Smithsonian Institution. And most people alive today have never heard of it. Stay with me, because that is only the beginning. I came across a county extension pamphlet printed in the 1940s, barely holding together, listing plant-based remedies from Appalachian communities in the North Carolina mountains. Several of them matched descriptions from Mooney's earlier ethnobotanical notes, almost word for word. Same plant, same use, same region. Two completely separate written traditions, arriving at identical conclusions. That is what it looks like when knowledge is real. Here is what Cherokee households understood about these 11 plants. And here is why it matters for you right now. Yarrow grows on disturbed soil, roadsides, vacant lots, the edge of any field left alone. It was documented in Cherokee use for wound care and fever, and later studied for compounds with genuine clotting and antimicrobial properties. It is not a mystery plant. It is a weed most people mow over without a second thought. Echinacea, the purple coneflower, was formally listed in the Lloyd Brothers Eclectic Pharmaceutical Records in the early 1900s. Documented in Cherokee practice, present in early American botanical pharmacy. Then it quietly exited the mainstream formulary. Today it sells at a significant markup, positioned as a specialty wellness discovery. It was never a discovery. It was a standard. Mullein, that tall, soft-leafed plant growing along gravel roadsides and at the edges of fields. Cherokee communities used it for respiratory complaints. So did early Appalachian families. So did folk practitioners across Eastern Europe. Multiple continents, multiple traditions, same plant, same general application. Mullein is not exotic. It is everywhere. It has simply become invisible. Elderberry appears in virtually every Cherokee settlement record from the southern Appalachians. And here is something worth noticing. Modern clinical studies, including research published in the peer-reviewed journal Phytochemistry in the late 1990s, documented specific antiviral activity in elderberry compounds. This is not folk rumor. This is in scientific literature. The plant was already in the records before the studies confirmed it. Wild bergamot, which early colonists called Oswego tea after learning it from indigenous peoples in the Northeast, was used for throat and antimicrobial support in Cherokee practice. Bee balm. You can grow it in a home garden. Most gardening stores sell it every spring. The medicinal use is exactly what it looks like. Not hidden, not dangerous, just no longer named on the label. And then there is golden seal. This is the one that tells you the most about what happened to this entire system of knowledge. By the late 1890s, golden seal had been so aggressively wild, harvested for commercial sale, that several states had documented near local extinction of the plant. That did not happen because nobody believed it worked. It happened because the market decided it was valuable, and it was harvested almost entirely out of existence. Notice what that means. The same industry that later told you these plants were unproven was simultaneously building a commercial trade on the very same plants. That collision reached a breaking point in 1906. The Pure Food and Drug Act began defining what legally qualified as medicine. Plant remedies that could not be patented, standardized, or bottled at scale started sliding toward the margins. Not because the studies said they failed, because the system had no financial model for something that grows free in a ditch. And here is the detail that matters. One plant on this list is so aggressively common that it is almost certainly growing within 100 feet of where you are right now. A randomized trial published in 1999 documented something about it that has never made it into mainstream wellness coverage. The plant has a name you will recognize. And what that trial found, stay with me, is where this story is about to take a very different turn. The U.S. dispensatory, the official pharmaceutical reference used by American doctors and pharmacists through much of the 19th and early 20th century, formally listed botanical medicines, including plant-based astringents, tonics, and respiratory herbs. These were not folk remedies sitting outside the medical system. They were inside it, in the reference texts that trained practicing physicians. And if you look at what got quietly removed from those editions across the 1930s and 1940s, you start to see the shape of something that is not an accident. During World War II, the U.S. military actually ran domestic herb procurement programs because pharmaceutical supplies were stretched thin and field medicine needed alternatives. Plants from the Cherokee pharmacopoeia, including several on this list, appeared in wartime botanical supply records. The government knew exactly where to look when it needed to. Then the war ended. Pharmaceutical manufacturing scaled back up, and the herb procurement program closed. The knowledge that had been urgently useful in 1943 became quietly inconvenient by 1950. This is not forgotten by not accident. This is the pattern. Here is the part nobody tells you. The same plants that exited the U.S. dispensatory in the mid-20th century were simultaneously entering the supplement market at a significant commercial markup. They did not stop being valuable. They stopped being free. They got repositioned from household knowledge into specialty retail. And a system that once existed in your backyard started requiring a credit card. Now, the plant I left unnamed. The one growing within 100 feet of most viewers right now. It is plantain, not the banana. Plantago major, the flat, broad-leafed plant that pushes up through midwalk cracks, colonizes compacted soil, and grows in virtually every temperate climate on Earth. Cherokee communities used it for skin irritation, minor wounds, and drawing out inflammation. So did early European settlers. So did traditional healers across Asia and Africa. Independent plant knowledge systems on multiple continents arrived at the same species. In 1999, a randomized study published in the journal Phytotherapy Research documented the wound healing and anti-inflammatory properties of yacubin, a compound found in Plantago major. Ethnobotanist Daniel Moorman, whose Native American ethnobotany database catalogs over 4,000 Cherokee plant use records, includes plantain across dozens of documented applications. This plant is confirmed in indigenous records, confirmed in European herbals, confirmed in peer-reviewed literature, and it is almost certainly in your lawn, right now, being treated as a weed. That is the story of all 11 plants, compressed into one. Now finish the list. Sassafras was a Cherokee spring tonic used to support the body after winter, as a broad cleansing preparation. Early colonial America agreed sassafras bark was one of the first American plant exports to Europe in the 1600s. The FDA banned concentrated saffrole extract in 1960 after high-dose animal studies raised flags. Root bark tea is a legally and chemically separate matter. The nuance was never explained to the public. The whole plant got buried under the extract story, and most people stopped asking questions. Black cohosh. This single plant now anchors a global supplement market estimated at over $300 million annually. That market was built directly on Cherokee traditional use for muscle and joint complaints. The knowledge was extracted. The profit was not shared. The original context, the community practice, the preparation method, the generational transmission was replaced by a capsule with a trademark. Wild ginger grows in shaded creek bottoms across the eastern United States. Cherokee households used it for digestive complaints and nausea. It is genuinely common if you know what creek banks look like in spring. Not exotic, not imported, local. Staghorn sumac, identifiable by its distinctive red berry clusters, was used as an antioxidant-rich throat rinse in Cherokee practice. It is widespread, edible, and easily distinguished from poison sumac once you know the difference. It grows in fields, fence rows, and roadsides across most of North America. Spicebush rounds out the list. An Appalachian crossover plant used for fever and cold by both Cherokee communities and early European settlers who learned it from them. The berries were used as a spice when allspice was unavailable during wartime. It is findable. It is identifiable. It is growing somewhere near you right now. That is the thing Daniel Moorman's database makes undeniable. Of the thousands of Cherokee plant use records cataloged, the overwhelming majority involve species that are common, widespread, and already present in ordinary American landscapes. The Cherokee approach to plant knowledge was never built around rarity. It was built around fluency, knowing the plants already around you well enough to use them. That knowledge was not lost because the plants disappeared. It was lost because the context was interrupted, commercialized, regulated into a specialty category, and replaced with a product that required you to open your wallet. You just got some of it back. Which of these 11 is already growing somewhere near your home? Drop it in the comments. Because there is a community of people watching this who are paying attention to the same things you are. And the next video, one Cherokee bark preparation, was so effective at addressing a specific condition that a major pharmaceutical company filed a patent using its active compound in the 1980s. That patent is public record. That story is significantly more buried than this one, and it is coming next.